In today's video, I'm revisiting a location that I've been to once before, nearly 2 years ago. Honestly, looking back at that trip, I don't think I did justice to this place. I think there was potentially a lot more to photograph here than I actually did. So I'm hoping to rectify that today. This is Mascarat Canyon. I hope you'll enjoy the video. If you do, and you're new here, don't forget to hit subscribe before you go. Hi everyone, thanks for joining me. Today I am in a place called Mascarat Canyon. This canyon or gorge splits the coastline between two coastal towns, Altea to the south and Calpe to the north. It's an area with two very different feels to it. The bit I'm in now, which is kind of nearer to the coastline, is quite wide. Tall sides, but wide, lots of plant life, trees, bushes, all sorts of stuff around here. When we go further up that way, it gets very narrow and twisty, and I think that's probably the area that I'm going to be concentrating on photographically, because I think that's the area that I didn't do justice to last time I was here. So I'm going to start heading up that way. It's a little bit of a clamber over some rocks, but not too bad. And when we get a bit further up, I'll tell you a little bit more about this canyon and some of the history behind it, because I think it's quite interesting. So I said this canyon or gorge splits two coastal towns, Altea to the south, Calpe to the north. In times gone by, people wishing to travel between those two towns would have little choice other than to use this canyon as a way through. And not only did that mean contending with some challenging terrain, steep sides, rocks, but they also ran the risk of being set upon by masked bandits. And it's those masked bandits that give this place its name, Mascarat. People wanting to travel between those two towns now have got it much easier. There's not one, not two, but 3 bridges across this canyon, and you can maybe just about see some of them up there behind me. The first one, and probably the most impressive one, was built in the late 1900s. It's 60 meters tall. It was a road bridge. It's the big arched bridge. It's now disused. It's not used for anything, but it's, you know, of historical significance. There's also next to it now a much more modern concrete 2-lane road bridge which carries the main N332 coastal road, and there's also a metal bridge, and that metal bridge carries the tram. So plenty of options to get across this canyon, and hopefully avoiding any masked bandits. I hope there's none about today. We're almost at the first of the bridges now, and once we get past the bridges is when we get into the narrow part of the canyon. This is not the most peaceful and tranquil place in the world. There's a road bridge and a tram bridge, so you've got the constant road noise and occasionally the clatter of a tram, but it's still a beautiful place to come and explore, and I think that canyon could offer some real possibilities that I didn't see or didn't search hard enough for last time I was here. And we're going to get in there soon. It's only short, it comes to a dead end, but nevertheless I'm hoping we're going to be able to find a few images in there. Okay, I am pretty much at the end of the canyon now. It dead ends here. Last time I was here, I was doing some photography and there was a guy turned up and he was doing some canyoneering up and down this bit as a training exercise. I'll tell you what though, I'm sure the route in here is tougher than it used to be. More rocks in the way, much more scrambling involved. That's quite possible because this place does suffer from flash flooding. If you get rains here, this place can flood very, very quickly. So if you're planning on coming here, you don't come here if there's any chance of rain, just in case. And that was the tram going over. So if there's been flash flooding, there's also the possibility of rock falls here. So you do have to just be a little bit careful if you come to this place. So it's possible that the route in has become a little bit more blocked than it used to be. But I'm here and I think we've got to look at some images. And the first thing I'm looking at is straight up, because there's a rock wedged in a gap. And I'm just wondering if there's a way of capturing that. We'll have a look. I think there's a possibility of a shot looking up there. The challenge, of course, is what we've got is a very dark foreground and a very bright sky. And if I want to keep any detail in the sky, I'm going to have to bracket the exposure. So I'm going to set the tripod up. A little bit of faffing around with this one, but I think I've got something quite interesting. Basically, the way it looks at the moment, there's kind of a crack all the way through, and then in that crack there's a boulder and the road bridge. Originally my thought was to have the crack, if you like, vertical in the frame, so parallel with the sides. But what I've decided to do is put it at a bit of an angle. I don't know, somehow it feels more dynamic that way. And I'm going to shoot this, I'm going to shoot 3, maybe 4 exposures. One exposed for the highlights, and then gradually getting brighter until I can get some detail in this scene, because I want to keep some of the light and the textures in the rock. I'm going to start off at 1/250th of a second for the highlights. Actually, I'm going to go even darker. I'm going to go 1/320th of a second. About 2 stops brighter, so 1/80th of a second, and then 2 stops brighter again. 1/20th of a second. And that's starting to reveal some of the detail in the rocks. And then probably one more at 1/5 of a second. Nice view up there because the canyon kind of curves around and disappears from sight. But what I actually want to do is I want to put myself in the frame. So I'm going to do a shot exposed well enough to bring me out, not too bright. I just need to get the composition exactly right. 10-second timer. Run into the scene and see what it looks like. Not sure if I did one like this last time I was here, but I'm going to try it anyway. It's looking right at the end of the canyon where it dead ends. There's a boulder up above, there's some clouds in the sky, there's a little bit of light falling kind of down in the foreground. Just wondering what it'll look like with a fisheye lens, because that's going to exaggerate all the curves and things. I am going to try this with the fisheye, because it actually does look like it might make for a more interesting image. I was trying to get a shot and I must admit I was struggling a little bit. The tripod is in a very odd position. I've got two legs extended all the way down, one out to the side and the centre column part way up. Because what I'm trying to do is get a view through the narrow part of the canyon and get the tops of the modern road bridge and the old 19th century road bridge in the frame. I spent about an hour and a half inside the narrow part of the canyon. I think I pretty much exhausted my options. It's a lovely little place to, explore around, but there's not much of it and the composition opportunities are limited. But I'm hoping I got a few that are okay. I couldn't resist doing something with the bridge here, or the bridges, and I've got a composition set up here where I've got all three bridges in. It's angled up a lot. The bridge in the foreground is going to have that lean in. I wanted to come back to Mascarat Canyon because I felt the last time I was here, I didn't really do enough to try to get everything I could out of the location. I don't think I spent enough time really looking around and exploring and observing the textures and shapes and patterns and where the light was falling and all of those things that are so important in getting the best out of a location. Today, I spent a good hour and a half in the narrow part of the canyon and probably another hour and a half outside here, looking around. And if I'm honest, I think I've got the best images I'm likely to get here. I don't think I've missed anything. I don't think I've missed any opportunities. I'm not sure what the images from today are going to look like. I'm hoping they're going to be okay. Obviously, I'll have shared them with you in this video, and as always, I welcome your comments on them. But I'm not sure they're going to be, portfolio images. But I do think they are probably the best images I'm going to be able to get from this location, unless something drastic changes or I have some sudden flash of inspiration of a way to do something different. I think they're the best I'm going to get, and that's probably means this is the last time I'm going to come here. But that's okay. I've got lots of other places to go, and that's what I'll do. In the meantime, I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, you know the routine. Likes and shares, really appreciated. I've mentioned comments already, let me know what you think. If you've enjoyed this video and you're new here, don't forget to hit subscribe before you go. Check out my recommended viewing, one from me and one from somebody else. And as always, I really appreciate you taking the time to watch, so thank you very much. And until the next video, bye.